Mind control. As a relay operator, it's something we have to deal with on a daily basis. But what if you're away from your post during an attack? In the following film, we will give step-by-step instructions on how to build your own mind control personal protective device. With these simple rules and instructions, you will be able to keep cool during an attack. Step 1 for building your protective device is to obtain yourself some tinfoil. The longer the roll, the better. Next, we will measure out a length of tinfoil, approximately the length of your elbow to the tips of your fingers.
Ghost pop, press your hand to the window, short breath, has a plan to go in.
Once we have the proper length, we're going to want to fold the aluminum foil widthways in half. And remember, kids, shiny side out.
I'm out of my mind. Don't fall.
Fold the two corners at 45-degree angles, like so.
Taps her foot to the busy tone. All that I know, that with no soul, there's no between the lines. She had to gaze like microwave.
Take the top sheet and double fold it up. Now flip your tin foil over.
Mood swings, not so bad for this.
Fold the top down.
Can't come close when you're this cold.
Now fold in the two sides.
Other guy, she has a plan, she's outside. I'm out of my mind. All that I know, that with no soul, there's no between the lines. She has the gaze like microwave.
Next, double fold this side up
From coast to coast,
and tuck inside the ends.
from coast to coast, oh, say the
Your protective device is now complete. So the next time you're outside of your area, you'll know that you'll be able to stay cool and in control.
Do you know the Dave Darren Show?
Hot enough to boil a monkey's bum.
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Are you a puff duck?
He used to be on terrestrial radio, but he got fired.
It's over. Don't you think it's over?
Aspen, Aspen, Aspen.
Who the fuck is Dave Darren?
Here comes the boss fella now.
Dave Darren.
Hey guys, Dave Darren here. Good to see you guys. Good to see. Let me say hello to Terry, Richard, Bree. Good to see you guys. 3 people checking out the show tonight. 3 people. Like I said earlier, we got to get the audience up somewhat. I mean, I'm not trying to do this show to capture huge audiences, but let's try to get it up to like 12 people once in a while that watch the show. So Tonight we're going to talk about mind control, okay? And I was thinking about this topic a little bit. Mind control, do we think we can actually do that? Have people actually experimented with doing that? I know some people have tried it. I don't know if there was a larger audience, I'd be able to ask you guys, how many of you, raise your hands, have tried or had some little success in mind control? And if you think about it, some people say, yeah, we can never do mind control. We can never actually do that. But if you think about it, how much stuff have we accomplished in all of the 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 1,000 years, 1,200 years, 1,500 years? We've done a lot. Actually, we control our minds and other people's minds via language, right? So we've now accomplished a sophisticated language. So we do have mind control of our own minds and our ability to project our thoughts into other people's minds via a better communication pattern. So now whether the communication pattern is written, whether it's vocal, or whether it's waves, because remember, sound waves are waves. And everything is a wave now. Everything's a wave. And if you really think about it, we watch all these science fiction programs like Star Trek. They had who? Counselor Troy there, right? What was she? Was she a Beta Zet or a Beta Zoid? I know she was a hemorrhoid because every time she was on the show, I started thinking she demanded Jean-Luc Picard. She demanded him. And she didn't demand him, she demanded him. I just wanted to see people kick ass on that show. I wanted to see the characters punch each other out. I want to see the characters, Picard and all those guys, just doing a Rocky Balboa. You see, I have a poster back here of Rocky. I just wanted to see Picard do a Rocky Balboa to a Klingon. That's what I wanted to see, and I wanted to see them use the phasers and the photon torpedoes to just blast shit out of the sky. I didn't want to see Counselor Troy giving him a lecture on how he can mellow out and not be the guy we wanted to see on TV. That's what we wanted to see. So I actually like the original Star Trek better than I like the demand Jean-Luc Picard be a Counselor Troy, the Beta Zet, Beta Zoid hemorrhoid that mellowed out that show. I wanted to see action. That's what I wanted to see. So let's talk about mind control. I want, the most I've done with it, and this is the most I've done with it, is I've looked at some other people, and I've looked at more successful people, especially when you start your own business. You have a little bit of a lack of success, right? You're trying to make ends meet. It's a task in itself. So, you're all on this 5-year business plan, and I created a 5-year business model to create some success. If 5 years I wasn't reaching the success that I had road mapped out, I was going to sunset the day gig I've got. But I was able to survive 5 years, 6 years. Now I've been going on for how many years with this? 9 years or something like that. And each year I was able to add like an employee on. So it's really a cool gig once you have that success. But when you don't and you're starting out, it's a tough thing. It's a tough gamble. It's like doing a show like this is amazingly tough. This is harder than anything I've ever done before in my life. This is by far, being an entertainer is the hardest thing anyone could possibly accomplish, except maybe a sports athlete, right? Beyond that, entertainer and sports athlete, you got to give them credit. Even if you think that they are not a quality entertainer or they're not someone that's got talent, the fact that they reached that pinnacle means that they had everything hidden. They had the right people behind them, the right product, the luck, the whole thing they got going on. So for those people that made it, you got to take your hat off to them, right? So when I'm talking about mind control and I'm talking about the ability to do that, when I was walking down the street and I saw someone more successful than me, I was trying to think of, okay, who he is, how he got there, and why can't I be him? And why can't I literally try to put my mind into his mind for like a short amount of minutes to learn a little bit about him? Almost like the Vulcan mind meld, right? Where you want to mind meld with that guy. Is there an ability to do that? Of course, there's no ability to do it now, although is there? We don't know. We really don't know what the full capabilities of humans are, and there may be a select certain few humans. It's certainly not Tony Moreno, but there's a certain select amount of humans that can possibly do things that we don't know about. They could be experiments. How many TV shows do we see or movies do we see with experiments behind closed door? Remember The Fly, the original, and then the redone one with, what's his name? I forget his name. Jeff Goldblum, right? There was the remake and there was the original one with David Hedison, who was actually, Hedison was in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, if you remember him. That was a good show, by the way. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea was a really cool show. When I do my movie nights, I'll have to look for one of the boys to the bottom of the seas. Maybe like the pilot would be kind of cool. There was a movie, and then there was the TV series. I'm sure most of you guys know that. But if you think about mind control, I was trying to think, okay, how can I be like this guy that's got this successful business? You see that by the way he dresses, by the clothes he's wearing, by just the personality of the guy and his demeanor walking down the street, the vehicle he gets into. So I was trying to think, how could I be this guy for a certain amount of minutes, a couple seconds, just to walk in his footsteps, transport my mind into his mind. And I don't care what happens to him. He swaps into me. That's fine with me because I just wanted to move up to the next level of thought and understanding based upon who this guy is. I mean, there's TV shows about that as well. Movies. Forget the movie where they swap out. The older guy becomes the kid becomes the older guy. And I think there was one with Tom Hanks and there was another one with someone else. I forget. A couple good movies, interesting movies. Ability to transport their physical being into another being. So that's one perspective of it. The other perspective of it is, can we actually manipulate people? And we do now, like I started off the program, and I said we actually do manipulate people. Who does it the most? Who does it the most? The media. And I don't get political at all with this show, but the media does have a significant influence on the people that read that media. And it's pretty tough because we are so busy today. We are so busy that we don't have the ability really to cross-reference and validate everything we read. So we read something and we read something else. We'll read two platforms, and then if those two platforms are biased or if they're not sharing the whole story, we just got to rock and roll with that because we don't have the time in our busy lives to thoroughly analyze it. We don't have the time to do it. So the media is one of the products that manipulates human thought. And it's not mind control, although it is sort of a mind control, isn't it? Brainwashing is a type of mind control. Let's see who we got here joining. We got, like I said, we had Richard, Brig, we got Terry, we got John, good to see John, and Azariana. Okay, so here we go with the 6 people who usually join the show. By the way, I do share the show to a lot of different groups. Today I shared the show to, I think, 30 groups. I actually shared it to Coast with George Noory. And I think it actually got posted, if you could believe that. I thought, well, here's a post I'm going to put out there on Coast to Coast with George Noory. I don't know who the administrator is of the group. So I requested to join the group. They allowed me into the group. And as soon as they allowed me into the group, I posted this show on George Noory Coast to Coast. Now, I have no idea if that's like the George Noory really is involved in that group. I don't know if it's like the fan page of George Noory. And I didn't even check to see how many members are in that group, but there we are, a part of that group. So maybe we'll welcome some new people here. I'm not sure. Let's see. Hi, Bernadette. Is Bernadette here? I didn't see Bernadette logged in. I'm not quite sure. Oh, yeah, Bernadette's right here. She says, hi, everybody. Good to see her as well. I've shared. Thanks, Azariana, for sharing the show. That's what's got to happen because, like I said, this show is just me, and I think you guys realize that by now. It's hard for just me as an individual to propel the show to other people that might enjoy us, not me. By the way, I am supposed to be the most minimal part of this show. I'm the guy that knows how to work the technology, and that's about it. That's about it. If you guys would call in more, I could talk less, and you guys could become the foundation of this show, which is what it's supposed to be. But let's get back to mind control. So have you ever sat down and really thought about it and thought, I wonder if I can do things with my mind that my mind has never done before and that I've never attempted before. Like I said, one thing I try to do too is you ever have a dream at night and then you wake up for some reason, maybe the dream scared you into a woken state. So then you're attempting mind control to some degree to fall back into that dream you just ate. So what did I eat? Your corn chips or something like that? You try to get back into the dream, back into the fold. Or was that Christopher Reeve movie with Jane Seymour, where he goes back and travels into the Jane Seymour from the picture he sees like in this museum, and he's able to go back in time. Somewhere in Time, I think was the name of that movie. So did you ever think about there's a dream you had, and you come out of the dream, but the dream is still very vivid in your mind. I think I talked about dreams a couple days ago where I said, whenever I have a dream, it seems like we dream every night, right? Supposedly we dream every single night. I probably remember about one dream every 2 months, and then that lingers for about 20 seconds, and then it dissipates. Sometimes it lasts for like 15 minutes. Sometimes I make an effort to try to remember it and retain it. And there's some dreams that were with you throughout the entire day, and it throws you off a bit. It really does throw you off depending on what kind of dream it was. It can throw your day off to a degree. It can make you a little bit uneasy, a little bit uncomfortable. So did you ever try to focus back on that dream you just had? And I've tried it, and I've been successful, I would say, probably about 30% of the time. So being able to refocus my mind on that dream. Now, it could be that in your early woken state of that first 30 seconds of being awoken, and you're still pretty much still asleep. So the ability to go back to sleep rather quickly is there. And to catch back onto that rope of that dream that you just came out of like 30 seconds ago or 1 minute ago, and you're still not, your eyes aren't even focused yet, and you remember the dream in your mind, and going back to that dream, maybe that's fairly easy. I wonder if any of you guys have done that. I'll ask the questions here to you guys. Have you guys, I'll ask Kathleen, I'll ask Azariana, I'll ask Richard, I'll ask Claudio. Claudio, good to see you. I think I found, did you come here based upon the George Noory Coast to Coast? I think I saw someone, was it you, who's joined the show, which is interesting that I got someone possibly from the Coast to Coast with George Noory to come over here and check us out, which would be really super. But my question is, we're talking about mind control. We're talking about the first part of it, the easiest part of mind control, I'm thinking, is the ability to do mind control when you're in a state of sleep, a state of dreaming. You've come out of your dream. How many of you have ever tried to refocus your brain, which is kind of a mind control, right? It's a mind control of your sleeping and your dream to control your mind to go back into that identical path of that dream state. I've done it successfully. I would say about 20% of the time I've been successful at it, which is probably pretty good. That's 2 out of 10. I can go back to that dream. There's a lot of times I can't at all. Eight times out of 10, I can't at all. And out of the 8 times out of 10, I can't go back to having any type of dream whatsoever. But I would say that when I'm consciously aware of a dream that occurred and a secondary dream to it, I would say I've had pretty good success in continuing that dream forward without starting a whole new dream pattern, a whole new dream thread. I've been pretty successful in going back and continuing that dream. Or what's happened is I'll try to continue that dream, and of course the majority of the time I'm unable to continue that dream, but I don't have any more dreams at all. Or at least I don't remember. Maybe I have had a continuation, but like I said, I only remember like one dream every 2 months. So maybe that one dream I remember every 2 months was that part 1 of the dream. The part 2 of the dream, maybe I was able to rejoin, but I don't remember the second part of it, which is possible. So I asked that question of you guys. Let's see. I'm going to see if you, and by the way, if any of you guys want to call, like Claudio, who's probably brand new here, let me ask you, if you want to call the show, the phone number's on the screen. It's 480-236-2111, and you'll be able to talk to our audience of listeners at the moment. If you have any question for me or each other, you can get on the phone and chop away at the bit by talking and giving us your mind control. You're trying to control the program, which is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to mind control this program. So, like I said, I'm going to try to read and see if you guys have said anything here. But if you guys, as we're talking about mind control, the part that might be the easiest to understand collectively would be controlling our dream state and bringing the dream that just concluded. As long as we don't have to wake up that moment. We got to wake up and go to work. We can't go back to the dream state because unfortunately the alarm clock rang and we got to wake up. But if you woke up in the middle of the night, you got to go back to sleep and you like the dream you were having, could you go back to it? Was there an ability to continue on at the part 2 of that dream? Did they leave you the cliffhanger? And the cliffhanger was you got to have the rest of the dream because you want to end the cliffhanger. You got to go. So let's see. Anyone said anything? Azariana says she always calls in, and she does. So let's try to get some of you guys who are shy. Well, I don't understand why anyone's shy talking to me. If you guys can call in, that'd be really cool. I'm going to try to educate you, or not educate, trying to motivate you guys to call in. Let's see. Richard says the show numbers are going up. I told you guys I don't want to discuss the show numbers. Okay, let's just stick with the topic and not the show's getting better or anything like that. Let's stick with the content. Okay, we're talking about mind control. So let's see. Anyone? Ren says we all love George. By the way, Ren, you're getting your CDs out there. I sent them out today, so you should get them pretty soon. My daughter wants me to buy her a dream book for Christmas. That's what Kathleen says. You know, I wonder, Kathleen, so let me ask you, Kathleen, and if you want to call in, you can tell us. Are dreams a part of the importance of your life? Because if Kathleen is going to buy her daughter a book about dreams for Christmas, so now have you encouraged your daughter to seek out dreams and what dreams mean? Have you, because obviously dreams, sometimes you can interpret dreams. There's people out there that interpret dreams. And I do believe that that is a legitimate thing to do, because if you think about it, our daytime thought process is carried over to our nighttime process because we're trying to regenerate not only our body and our cells, but our ability to think, because we've thought a lot during the day. We've had all the gears in our head are spinning. Depending on what you do, sometimes they spin a lot more one day to the next day. Depending on what your gig is, they may spin more. Let's see, we got a call here. Let's see who this is. From Connecticut. Hey, this is Dave Darren. Who is on the line?
Hi, it's Ariana again.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. I thought I'd start out the call because I'm hoping maybe Richard or someone else calls besides me.
Yep.
Not that I don't like talking to you or everybody else.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to have to do? Who's that guy that does impersonations? He impersonated Art Bell. Phil Hendry. You ever hear of Phil Hendry?
No, I haven't.
Okay, he's another talk personality who's actually fairly popular. I think he's still on the air, but I think now you got to pay for his broadcast, I think. But actually, he impersonated Art Bell. But what Phil Hendry used to do is he would have fake guests, and he would be both the host and the guest, and he would be able to pull it off. So I think I'm going to have to pull a Phil Hendry someday, and I'll just have to pretend that I'm Dave Darren, and I'm going to try to impersonate a guest. I guess that's what I'll do. So as yeah, and then I can mind control my guests, because we're talking about mind control tonight. So, as Ariana, thinking about mind control, have you ever tried it? Have you ever tried to control a dream, which may be the easiest part to grasp in mind control? Trying to control your own dream and make the dream continue if it's ended earlier in the evening. You ever tried that?
I would say yes. I think I've done it.
Have you been successful at it? Like, were you able to continue the dream on?
No. It's just I do if I go to that specific dream, I remember it, but I can't go back to it.
Really? Now, I've had success, like I said, I think I've had success. Well, first of all, how often do you remember dreams? I think I asked you this a couple nights ago. I think we started off on this a little bit. And I think you answered the question. I think you called in. How many dreams do you specifically remember, and what frequency?
I remember all my dreams. I usually don't really sleep. I usually astral travel, which is not mind control.
Okay. Well, let's stick to this, because I like your topic that we're going to go to, and we're going to go to that in a future week. But so the dreams, you remembered them all, but then you're not really fully in a dream state, correct? Or
no, I've learned to either be a participant or an observer in that dream. Astral travel.
Yeah, that's right there. And I think we talked about this when I had you on as a guest, or you were a caller, and we talked about this a little bit. But so you're either a participant in the dream, an active participant. You mean a physical entity in that dream. So it's not a dream. It's sort of more of a reality.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now, when you're in that reality, and the dream is actually a living product. It's not a dream where our brains are just fabricating and recharging and trying to do what it needs to do to be healthy for the next day. You're actually an active participant in a physical part, which is it's like the dream of dreams. So you're actually a living party in that dream, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Now, do you meet other people in these dreams? Like, are they as knowledgeable that they're in a reality, or the people that you're interfacing with, where you're physically there, the things that you're experiencing, the other beings in these dreams, assuming there are other beings in the things that you're doing, are they actually aware of you in a physical state? Are they aware of you thinking that you are part of their dream? What's the association?
Yeah, it's the reality. Yes, it is. They know me, and I know them. It's basically family. It's a different. It's a different. I visit my family.
Okay.
Things like that.
So is it your? When you're saying family, you don't mean like family. Some people say friends or their family. This is physically part of your family, your extended family and your family, correct?
Yes.
Well, how about any in-laws? Are they able to do this as well, or it's just blood relatives?
No, blood relatives. I once had an old friend of mine, used friend, come at me in my dream, and it was pretty much an invasion, and I didn't let that.
Wow. Now was when he invaded your dream, so it was not a family member, it was an outsider, correct?
Right.
And did you say he was he a friend, or who was he?
Well, she used to be a friend.
Okay.
And we weren't friends. We had disagreement. The road, I guess she was regretting not speaking to me or discussing whatever he wanted to discuss, and invade my dream.
Okay. By the way, we have another caller. Let's identify the caller. Who are you, and where are you calling from?
This is Claudio. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, okay. Wow. Hey, how are you going? How's it going for you?
Okay. I'm listening to your caller. She's still talking. Let's not be rude.
Okay. I just want to introduce you to, this is Azariana, and welcome to the show, Claudio, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So, Azariana, let's ask you a couple more questions. And if Claudio wants to chime in, because like I said earlier, Claudio probably caught it, but I'm trying to make this show more about the guests and the callers rather than about me, but I will ask Azariana a couple other questions. So the invader into your dream, now was he aware that you were living a reality and you were physically there, or did he just think that you were part of his dream? How real was it to him?
No, she was trying to be in my dream, start a dream, because she had regret.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't anything that I was willing to listen to, let's say.
Uh-huh. Wow, you probably save a lot of money on Priceline. You don't have to shop for tickets. You can just visit via this way. We'll never see you on Priceline.
Oh, Claudia.
Yeah, name your own price. You don't have to do it. So, Claudio, I'm curious you're listening to the show tonight. Is this your first time listening, by the way?
Yeah, I've never. This is the first time I saw you on social media,
Uh-huh.
and I allowed your post to go on to the George Noory group, and I said, this guy seems pretty cool.
Oh, thank you very much for two things, for three things actually. Listening to the show, calling in, and allowing me to be part of that group. That's tremendous. So we're talking about mind control tonight. I'm curious, and I know that you listen to the Coast to Coast. You probably listen to Art Bell and all that stuff. But have you ever experienced an ability to progress your mind beyond what we normally think of a human mind? And like I said earlier, if you caught the show a little later, I don't think you were here in the very beginning, but I said mind control, if we really think about it, humanity has progressed from the time where we weren't really communicating with anything more than like symbols, and now we have written language, and written language is sort of a mind control, because not only can we control our own mind, by writing down facts that took place today. So that's kind of a mind control of our own. But we can control other people's minds by sharing our thoughts with them. They'll read our thoughts and they will understand our thoughts, and they may take some of our thoughts as something that they want to be part of their personality. So mind control has done that from a language perspective and a written perspective. Have you ever tried anything to go beyond that?
Well, my personal experience regarding my own mind control is, remember when I was a kid, and there was a boogeyman that used to attack me every night, and I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and he used to come and just, his mouth used to be gigantic, and he used to just devour me, and I would wake up screaming every night. And then one night, I knew I was going to have a dream about him again, because it was every night. It was crying. And I said, I'm going to beat the crap out of this little bastard. I'm going to get rid of my fear, and I'm going to kick his ass. Right? So I fell asleep. The boogeyman showed up. He came to eat me again, and I beat the crap out of him. And that dream, and I woke up, and I was happy. But it taught me that, your biggest problem is fear. And fearing the unknown and so on. So dreams can actually help you become, it's like your subconscious is talking to you.
Right.
And so if you pay attention, you can learn a lot about yourself and about your own inner thoughts. And sometimes, because we're conscious when we're awake, but we're distracted. You got to go through your daily stuff but your dreams, it's just you and this surreal world, and your dreams are just, they're trying to give you messages.
Yeah.
And if you pay enough attention, you can learn a lot about yourself.
Right. And actually you can take that lesson and control like you said, this was a controlling of your own mind. It was eliminating some of that fear based upon the dream, which was subliminally telling you what's going on. And you were able to conquer that. Really interesting story. How about that? It's very cool. Azariana, anything like that happen to you?
There was one case I used to do, like not ghost hunting, spirit rescue, things like that, soul rescue. And I had a case, and it was terrible, and it took me a long time to get over it. But it tended to feed on my fear, and as soon as I realized that, I would try to imagine that my fear for this thing to dwindle. It wasn't an 8 foot tall something. It was 6 foot. Then it was 5 foot. Then it was 4. Then it was 3. Then it was a little dot. And the less that I feared it, it wasn't that scary.
Yeah, cool. So, Claudio, another question for you. You mentioned this happened when you were 4 years old. Anything more recent? And I'll tell you something that's recent with me, and then maybe it'll help to direct you in the train of thought. For instance, one of the dreams I used to have up to about 4 years ago, I used to have dreams that my teeth were falling out. Like I would have a tooth. Yeah, literally. I did. I had a dream was that my tooth, instead of being as thick as it was like a little toothpick, and it would chip away. And then I'd wake up and I'd thank God, I would actually go and brush my teeth because I would be worried about my teeth. Literally, I would do that. And then what I did is I went to a dentist, and the dentist said, well, some of your teeth are ground down, so you should probably wear one of these things that you sleep with at night so your teeth don't grind. And I think my dream was taking my actual grinding of my teeth that I was not aware of, putting it into my dream. And then my dream was telling me to go to the dentist where I was able to protect my teeth from grinding down. So anything more recent, there was something that was a little bit interesting for me to have the dream become part of reality and maybe save some of my teeth. I'm not sure. But anything more recent?
Well, recent, the top of my head, dreaming of my grandmother. She was my mentor. She was my hero. And she passed away. And talking about it, I get a little teary-eyed. I mean, she died maybe 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But she was such a big deal in my life since I was a baby. And grandmas, I'm telling you, girls, you women are very special to your grandchildren. And but anyway, she made a big difference in my life. She made me a leader. And because she was a leader, she was the matriarch of the family and so on. But anyway, she was tough as all hell. I mean, we come from Brooklyn, everybody's tough over there. And she was pretty tough. And but she always had that little special thing with me. And I lived up to her expectations. I was a good boy. I worked. I stayed out of trouble, and so she was always proud of me. But she passed away, and it was not too long ago, and I had a dream of her, with her. And my brother, I lost 3 brothers, by the way, and one of them was in the dream, and my grandmother was in the dream. But I'm not, the funny thing is that when you're dreaming, you don't think they're dead. Right. You're reacting just like you normally did when they were alive.
Oh, yeah.
And she was bleeding from her nose, and I said, "Ma, were you bleeding from your nose?" And I remember touching it, and the blood was dry, like it was, it was there for a while. And then I woke up, and I don't know what that dream meant. I remember, that I was surprised that I did not recognize that they were actually gone. My brother was there; he was my best friend. And and we interacted like we normally did, but then I started to think about, like I said, because your dreams, they're a reflection of something.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'm just going to say this really quick, real fast. A lot of weird things happened to me in my life, and and recently, my alarm clock disappeared, literally just vanished. And I'm talking to my friend from Australia, and I'm trying to tell him the temperature over here. They have Celsius, and we have Fahrenheit here. And I says, "Man, it's really hot in my room." So I went to reach for my clock, which has a thermometer that would tell me the temperature of my room, and it was gone. And I'm talking to my friend. I says, "I don't know. I always put it in the same exact place." Mm-hmm. And I says, "I don't know where I put it." And I'm looking at my desk while I'm talking to him. I took a break, looked in the bathroom, because I love that little friggin' alarm clock, And and I looked around my bed while I'm talking to him, and then I sit back down, and I said, I don't know what happened to that alarm clock. Because I'm an organized guy, and there's certain things that are really like my favorite little toys, like my alarm clock. It's called an atomic clock, and very accurate. You don't need to set it and so on. The satellite tells gives it the accurate time. Mm-hmm. So while I'm talking to him, I turn around. And my alarm clock reappeared. Reappeared. And I said, and so that reminded me that my grandmother's probably still here, and she's probably hurting because of what I've been going through for the last few years, and because I'm an advocate. And I woke up regarding the 9/11 reality, and my cousin was one of the first people that died that day. And once I got, I woke up regarding that. It was actually, I don't know if your listeners are aware or you're aware that 9/11 was indeed a false flag attack. Once I found that out, I was pissed off. And I stepped up and started a campaign. The bad guys came after me quick, because I came here to kick the booty. I'm a marketing guy. I'm from Brooklyn. We kick the booty, and they didn't like me very much, and they turned life around, upside down. Mm-hmm. And my life was threatened multiple times. I had to get the police and so on. But anyway, so my grandma is like, to me, that message was, she's feeling really bad for me, and she's very worried about me, and because of what I've been going through. But she knows I'm a good boy. She knows I'm a good boy. I've always been a good boy. It's never stopped. But she's worried of what it has done. I lost my wife, my business, whatever. It's not easy getting out of your comfort zone, but we if we don't, all of humanity is doomed. And anyway, so sorry if I'm ranting. I don't mean to, but one thing led to the other, So anyway, but that was my latest dream, and that was like, that kept me thinking about, because she was always, attentive to my, my well-being, and so that's how I interpreted that dream. But there's always a message there. You just got to try to figure that message out. Some of them are obvious, some of them are not, and so.
Wow. That is an amazing story. Wow, that is truly amazing. So I'm curious, when your grandmother was alive, did she have any abilities that you became aware of, like any abilities to extend her spirit beyond the living world? Did she ever mention anything like that to you at all?
No, just her love. Her love was beyond, everything. It's like how they say love conquers all. Love is is universal, and so she exuded that. Especially with me, because she was pretty tough, boy.
Yeah.
And but she always gave me that little extra, effort, and because she knew I would do good in life. She always, when others did not believe in me, because we're not overachievers where I come from. You got a lot of static or something going on, a lot of noise.
Yeah, I hear noise too. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I don't know. Azariana, are you doing something, moving stuff around?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm trying to cook.
Okay.
I'm opening something up. Sorry.
I knew you were cooking.
Well, I'm Italian, so.
Yeah. I know, yeah, that's why I know. So anyway, but what was I saying about regarding my brother. I think that he visits me once in a while. I'm not a crazy guy, by the way. I'm real, super sane. But I've seen stuff. I saw two UFOs.
Wow.
I mean, real UFOs. My neighbor saw the second one with me. It was only about 50 feet away. It was unbelievable. It was beautiful, actually. And that was another awakening for me. So I know how beautiful this life can be. I know what the cabal, they're keeping this wondrous reality from us. They're dumbing us down to death. And we're talking about mind control here. Man, they have captured our minds through the media, through the propaganda, you mentioned something, what people say, what they write, and so on. The cabal, they really hit you how powerful we truly are. So they make sure they dumb us down to death so we can never tap into that power.
Yeah.
And so I've been pretty hit with about that. I was trained to build organizations, and the first thing they train you to do is you got to fix yourself first before you can fix the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to basic training more than anybody, and because I understood that was the foundation of whatever you build, in your life is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And as a human being, are you truthful, 100% truthful, not 90%? It's that 10% that screws us all up. The 10% bull crap.
Mm-hmm.
And so I completely focus on, like I said, my grandma loved, reality. My brother, he was. This guy used to talk to homeless people. People thought my brother was crazy, but he wasn't crazy. He just saw the good in everybody.
Right.
He says this guy wasn't always a homeless guy. This hooker or this prostitute wasn't always a prostitute. There was a person before. They succumbed to society's bullcrap.
Right, and there's a person after it. There's a person after it too, right? That person hasn't left. They've just let me. This part really got my curiosity. You said that you've seen UFOs, a couple UFOs, right?
Yeah.
Now before you saw them, were you a skeptical? Because let me give you a little thought about me first. I do this show, and I've never seen a UFO, and I'm sort of skeptical. But I do this show because I have an open mind, and I want to see
as
what
you should have.
Okay, so now I do this show because I want to learn more. I want to see what you guys have seen, what you have. So before you saw these 2 UFOs, were you a skeptic? Were you thinking, first of all, I believe that there is life off of planet Earth. I don't believe that we are the only beings in existence. So I do believe there's other beings. Now, I'm somewhat skeptical if they are here at this moment or have been here. Now, were you skeptical in the beginning of them existing at all? Or were you skeptical?
No,
what was your thought process before you saw them?
I have never, ever pushed away anything because that would be very ignorant.
Right.
And knowledge is power. I've known that for a long time. And so I soak everything up. And I know that there is a reality. It's a wondrous reality. I mean, I've seen stuff before. I saw my UFOs. I used to live in this house in Long Island. I moved from Brooklyn. This is right after 9/11. And I moved to this house, and I'm by myself. I mean, my wife went to sleep. My kids were sleeping. And we just moved in. And this house was it was beautiful. I was making a ton of money. I lived next to Barbra Streisand's mom, and some of the Yankee players were in the same neighborhood. But you didn't see, everybody. You couldn't see your neighbors because we all lived like 8 acres between each other. So the rest was just forest. And anyway, so we just moved into the house, and all of a sudden, and I'm by myself, and I was working late. I worked from home. And all of a sudden, I hear like a little girl's voice saying hello to me, coming from my office. So I go to my office, and I say, and I wasn't scared, and I was like, hello? Let's have a conversation. It was a cute little girl's voice, but she didn't say anything again. And I says, okay. And then, one time I'm by myself again. The kids went to school because I work from home. I've always been, I've always been internet savvy, computer savvy, so on. So I was by myself, and I took the soap and put it in the dispenser, the dishwashing soap, and it was the last bit in the bottle, and I was wanting to put the whole thing. You know how it drips down and takes forever to empty out. So I put it upside down and I rigged it, so it'll drip down slowly while I walked away into the dispenser, to these hand pumps.
Uh-huh.
And so I walked away, and I come back, and there's a puddle of dishwashing soap by the sink. And I says, I didn't do that. I mean, how did I do that? And I wiped it up, and the soap is still dripping. I walk away. I come back about 15 minutes, 20 minutes later. Maybe I was making some coffee or something. And all of a sudden, there's a puddle of soap. Again, in the same exact spot. I said, wait a minute, what's going on over here? And then I looked around the house. I remember the little girl. This is like when I first moved in. This is this within a month or something, from when I heard that little girl. And I says, do it again. Do it again. I wiped it up, and I said, do it again. I'm talking to the house.
Right.
And so I walked away, and I come back. 30 minutes later, the soap is back. I says, holy shit. Excuse me. I don't know if I could use profanity online. I don't mean no disrespect.
Yeah, it's okay.
But I says, holy crap. I mean, but that was real. And I'm not crazy.
Wow.
And but I had all kinds of, in that particular house, I've never experienced anything like that, except when I moved into that particular house. But I had, things coming out of the ceiling, bouncing off the floor, I mean, like lights, that like really super bright. It looked like an arc. What is it called? An arc torch or something like that, where it's like super bright, it's super, it's like burning. And it would come out of, stuff would come out of the ceiling, would bounce off the carpet. And then I'm looking at the ceiling. There's nothing burnt, and I'm looking at the carpet looking for whatever fell, and I couldn't find it. I says, what the frick is going on here? But I was always open, to life.
Yeah,
and so I guess once I saw the UFOs, I mean, number one, I thought it was something else. I thought it was a star, but it was a really big one, and it was really, really bright. And when a cloud passed over it, and it lit up the cloud, and I was like, "Holy Jesus!" I ran right into my wife. She thought I was crazy, of course, and my daughter was laughing at me. and then when I came back, it was already gone.
Well, but the second time you said you had a friend with you, right? The second time you had a friend with you who saw it.
The second time was a neighbor saw it, and with me. I mean, I saw it when it was taken off, and I jumped over my fence. I jumped right over it, and ran because it went behind the tree line. And this is in North Carolina. I moved down to North Carolina, and a lot of UFOs down there, man. I mean, like, wow. This is where I saw so many things in the sky that I've never seen. And I'm always looking up. I love looking at the stars, and I took tons of pictures of chemtrails and so on. Anyway, but, North Carolina, man, Cary, North Carolina, I saw so much stuff. But anyway, but I jumped the fence, and because it was going behind the tree line, and this thing was going maybe 20 miles an hour. I'm not kidding. It was about as big as a truck. It was oval. It was lit, and it had this blue stuff going inside of it. Like one of those psychedelic lights. That from the '60s.
Yeah.
It looked like that, but it was blue, and it was beautiful. It was gorgeous, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And it was only 20 feet above the tree line. It was only about 50 feet away from me, or from us. And when I jumped the fence, and it went behind the tree line, so I could, and then I saw the back end of it, and it was still oval. And I kept watching it, and all of a sudden it took off like if you blinked, it would have you would think it disappeared, but I saw that sucker take off. I mean, like, the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen in North Carolina, I've seen a meteor low above the treetops, maybe 100, maybe 200 feet, and that sucker was the fastest thing I ever saw in my life. But this freaking UFO was faster than that.
Yeah, and also it was slow to begin with. You said it was only 20 miles an hour in the beginning when you saw it. So obviously that's not a meteor, right?
When my neighbor saw it, she was like, because we lived in a condominium complex, so she was like on her balcony, and she's staring at this thing, like saying, "What the frig is this?" She told me the whole story, and she was mesmerized. She just couldn't figure out exactly what she was looking at.
Right.
And she was on the second floor. I was on the ground floor, and so she saw it like at treetop level, or around treetop level. So she really got a good look at this thing. And it was there. She said it was sitting there by the time when she stepped out, it was sitting there for like 10 minutes. She was staring at this. She didn't think of a camera. She didn't think of anything. She was just saying, "What is this thing?" And then it took off. And when it took off, that's when I saw it. Because it was just like trees, we like tons of trees where I lived. And so I just, I was walking in, and at the corner of my eye, peripheral vision, I see something. I see this bright something. I just turned around and says, "Whoa!" And I see this thing. So she was watching it, and then, before it took off, and it was just sitting above the treetops, and then she saw it take off, and then that's when I saw it.
Wow.
And then I jumped the fence, and then I'm talking to all the maintenance workers the next day. I said, "Did you see that thing?" And they says, "No, but this woman, she came to the office telling us today." She was freaking out. And so then I got to meet her. And then me and her, we talked like all day about it. All freaking day,
Yeah, I can imagine, sure.
But anyway, life is wondrous. It's unbelievable. It is incredible.
Yeah, and we all
don't know. Yeah, the vast majority of us don't even friggin' have a clue.
And we should start to have a clue, because things are so bad now with social media and all the hatred that's out there. We should all take your advice and think about how many things there are to explore, enjoy, see, understand our
Beautiful.
life. I agree with you 100%. Absolutely.
Well, I'm telling you. Well, I have a saying. You say the truth or you shut up. The vast majority of us we're full of opinion. We're full of belief. I run from that belief word. And the only time I use the belief word is when I'm talking about us, human beings. I believe in us. And but if I believe in this and that, but they use that believe word like a freaking weapon against us. They cloud up reality using that word. And I'm a marketing guy. I learned a lot. I was also after 9/11, I found out I saw the towers come down, both of them, from a rooftop in Brooklyn. That changed my life. I was always a good American, but after I saw that and my cousin died, I said I got to step up. I got to do something. I'm really smart. I'm really tough. And I've got experience in business, marketing, sales, you name it. And I kick booty. And I hung out with the best people, in New York. And I said I could contribute something. So when Bush said go shopping, I said, what the fuck is this? Excuse me, from Brooklyn. What is this freaking guy talking about? I said we got to step up. We got to do something, And so I was I was in a political activist for 10 years, and I didn't understand this left-right paradigm. That's an illusion right there. There's no two sides of the truth, man. There's the truth. And then there's everything else, and everything else is called bullcrap.
Yeah.
Like my father used to say. And then they make the lies popular, and then we fall for the lies, and we all become friggin' liars. And what is it doing to us? It is killing us, literally, one step at a time. And the future generations are friggin' doomed unless we wake the frig up right now. When you posted about that you're doing something regarding your mind, mind focusing, and you titled it, and that's why I called you guys up, mind control. Mind control. That's what you said. You said tonight's topic, mind control.
Right. Exactly.
And I was like, I gotta see what this guy's about. And oh, by the way, you're a very likable guy. I'm sure your listeners agree with me. That's a very good thing. You are one of the most important people in history. I have to let you know. You are the alternate media. You have a major responsibility. You put yourself in a leadership position, and you got to do something really great with it.
Yeah.
And you're very generous, by the way, letting me talk. I've been on a lot of shows, by the way, and for a couple of years now. I still get nervous, but like I said, we got to get out of our comfort zone. Whatever makes us nervous, whatever makes us scared. Like when I was a little kid, you gotta battle. You gotta show them who's boss, and humanity is boss. But we forgot, and they made sure that we forgot.
Yeah,
but we just got to tap into that super. We're all like fellow mutants, and we got to tap into our inner powers. And the Kabbalah is doing everything it possibly can to make sure we never tap into it, because if we did, we kicked their ass already, and we better hurry up because they're hip to people like us. So that's all I'm going to say. I hope I'm not hogging up.
No. You know what? I want people to be contributing more to the show, so that's why I definitely wanted you to speak more than me. So I appreciate it a lot, especially first-time caller, first time hearing the show, and I appreciate you saying that I'm a leader in this forum. And you know what? That's what I want to do. In fact, I even posted something today. I said, I want to make this show something where we actually start to understand the reality of what the truth of UFOs or extraterrestrials are, or mind control, or whatever topic we want to talk about. I want to make sure that we really start to understand, dissect, understand what is real, what we need to say is not real, because I'll tell you, when people talk about UFOs and then you see some of the fake stories out there, the fake stories damage the reality of what is really going on. So that's why I want to make the show.
May I interrupt, because just to touch on that, that's exactly what they do. They need to obscure what's right in front of every single one of us with bullcrap.
Yeah.
Yep. They got to make the truth impure and questionable, and and you could, but we need those of us that know. Knowledge is power. They don't want us to know certain things. If we lived in a society that was truthful to the populace, everybody would have known that they've been visiting here for freaking centuries, millennia, and so on. They've been here a long time. Yeah. And they've been chasing them. Look up Richard Dolan. And oh, by the way, it was Richard Dolan. He's a UFO guy. You know Richard Dolan?
I do not know, but I'm writing it down.
You got to know that guy. He was a historian, a Brooklyn boy like me. And his father, by the way, he didn't go to work on 9/11, and that's why he woke me up regarding 9/11. I was just listening to a show, just like your show right now, while I was working in business, on my PC, and I'm listening to the show, and people were calling in his UFO show regarding 9/11, and I was like, why do these people keep calling about 9/11? So that led me to. So it was a UFO that led me to 9/11. Then I said, no wonder why everything is so screwed up, because they basically took over. Yeah. And the media's complicit in the cover-up and all that stuff. But Richard Dolan, he's a historian, so he says, why isn't this UFO topic in our history books? So he started doing more and more research. He went down the rabbit hole, and he's one of the best researchers in the field, and he's a facts guy. He's about military documents and stuff like that. And so our government has been hiding this UFO reality forever. And the media is, the corporations' pockets, special interest pockets, but they're keeping reality from us because they want to sell us an alternative reality.
Yeah, interesting.
And that's what I mean about dumbing us down. They don't, because knowledge is power. They don't want an enlightened populace.
Sure.
They want to control us, man.
Yeah. Wow, Claudio. By the way, before you go, let me ask you one question: Yankees or Mets?
Oh no,
Yankees or Mets? See. Answer the question. Yankees.
Well,
or Mets?
I was always a Yankees fan, but I always felt sorry for the Mets.
Yeah.
But that's it. And I'm sorry. I hope I didn't hog up airtime. I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. I just want to say I'm a Phillies guy, so you know where I am with the Yankees and Mets. I'm a Phillies guy. I'm from Philly.
Right. So you put them.
I know it. Yeah, we had a couple of years we could brag about when we had the World Series in 1980 with Steve Carlton and all that. We had that. So, and I've been to the Yankees games a lot. So I'm more of a Yankees guy than a Mets guy. In fact, my wife, of course, the Yankees for a while they had. Who's the guy? The Japanese guy.
Japanese.
Ichiro.
After 9/11, I stopped watching all sports. I stopped. I got real serious about how in trouble that humanity is.
Oh yeah.
So that was just after 9/11. Me thinking that believing the official story and all that, and then once I became once I found out that it was actually a false flag attack, I said, wow, it's worse than I thought. So I haven't watched sports since 2001. Well, I have not paid attention to any of this stuff. I've been doing the best I can as an American, as a human being, to step up to help, fix, the problems that is plaguing every single man, woman, and child on this planet. And I've always been an example, by the way. I'm the oldest of 7 siblings. So I always had to do the right thing for them. So these guys are the ones who got me into this, getting out of my comfort zone stuff, and doing the right thing. But my father says, you're the oldest, you screw, because we come from a really bad neighborhood in Brooklyn. So, for us to make it, it's to do good, it's a major accomplishment. But anyway, he says you do bad, your siblings most likely may do badly. If you get into drugs, they'll do drugs. You know what I'm saying? Sure. But if you do good, they have more of a chance because you are their role model.
Absolutely.
So I always have to do good. I always have to do good in life for them. Mm-hmm. But this is what we must become. That taught me something. That taught me. I said we all got to be good examples.
Yeah.
We all got to. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question, Claudio?
Yes. Yes.
Well, you were in the military, right?
No. I wasn't in the military. I have a lot of military in the family. We have cops, New York City cops. You know, I know that a lot of cops died that day. We have firefighters in my family, so I felt them. We had construction. My background originally was construction, and a lot of those guys passed, you know, in 9/11, not only just that day, but from the aftermath. They were volunteers. The only reason why I didn't volunteer at Ground Zero was because I had a construction accident. So my back is really bad. So, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I wrote about 9/11 before it happened, and I still have, well, I have nightmares about it because they, yeah, I just don't like it. It was the most. It was if you talk, we're talking about dreams. I mean, Lord have mercy. You know, some of us saw the buildings come down right before our eyes. Yeah. It was you could smell it. I mean, we were that close. You could smell. It was the most unique smell you could ever smell, and it was death, and it was but it was the cabal's way of completely taking over every single one of us. And, you know, the draconian laws, you know, 1984 is right here, right the freak now. They're tapping into our phones. They can lock us up for, you know, just saying we're bad guys without a lawyer and so on. That's the Patriot Act. I mean, it's really bad. And, but anyway, that's why, you know, like I stepped up, you know, and you know, that's why I have such admiration for people like Dave. You know, and he's talking about real stuff, and you know, letting callers call in, and letting it all hang out, and I mean, but you know, like Dave is an example of what we all must become. We all got to start speaking up, not being afraid. You know, I used to be shy when I was a kid, but what I did as a kid, I used to listen to everybody. I used to listen and listen. After a while, you get to know crap, and all of a sudden, when you do speak, it's based on knowledge, not based on what you think. You know, it's based. You know, that's what I mean about the truth. You know, if you're going to say something to your fellow man, woman, child, you know, it should be 100% truth. And if you don't know, you should shut up. The biggest problem we have is that we just spur out anything out there. You know, and there's repercussions for that. When you tell the truth, you set us free. You know, and anyway, I'm sorry. So
you know what we should do, Claudia? We should do a show one day about 9/11 conspiracy. I wonder if we can leave a majority. There's a lot of conspiracy. Yeah. You mentioned conspiracy, and I start to short circuit. Well, it's like the UFO conspiracy. Yeah, there's conspiracies all over the freaking place. But you know, it's interesting because I had someone that said, Dave, why don't you start talking about conspiracies once in a while? So you brought up 9/11, so maybe we'll do a show on that. I wonder if we can keep the majority of politics out of it and do the conspiracy thing about it, because I don't know much. The only thing I know about it is at the time when 9/11 occurred, about 3 weeks later, I was working for IBM, and we had to help rebuild some of the infrastructure. So they're asking for volunteers from IBM to go out there to the area and help them rebuild like Wall Street. So I went out there 3 weeks later, and we were on shifts. Actually, I stayed at, where did I stay? I stayed at Trump Tower, believe it or not. And
holy Jesus!
Yeah, they actually opened up a floor for us at Trump Tower. So I think I was on the 7th floor at Trump Tower. And I was there for, I think, 3-day shift. They bust us in. We weren't allowed to go anywhere near 9/11. We were just able to go to the places where we needed to build infrastructure, internet stuff, and all that. So I was there for 3 days. But I remember the personalities and the people there, where some of them were extremely frightened because you don't know if it's going to occur more, if it's going to happen again. And within the short amount of time that it actually did happen, 3 weeks later, everyone's still in a panic mode. So then you had some people that were, it was a cry to humanity to help each other. So that occurred. So we saw, so that was the positive aspect of it. And actually,
that's where I fit in with what you just said. It says humanity's in trouble, man. I got to do something.
Yeah.
So I wasn't into this. By the way, I had a ton of Muslim friends. I lived in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, you grow up with Jews, Thais,
Sure.
Puerto Ricans, blacks, whatever. They're your freaking neighbor. Sometimes your kid marries them. You know, marries the daughter, or vice versa. You know, and we sweep each other's stoops. We shovel each other's snow. You know, stuff like that. We fight gangs together. You know, to clean up the neighborhood. You know, that's how we grew up. So when this Muslim bashing started happening, I says, whoa. My son's best friend was a Muslim kid.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with that kid. They were extremely respectful, very loving, and they were and clean. They had the cleanest freaking stoop on the block. You know, I've been to their house. I met the family. They, you know, and well, the wife never came to my house. You know, they got that respecting, which I respect. You know, and but the father came over to my house, and the son was always in my house. That kid was always in my house. If my son wasn't in my house, he was in that kid's house. But that's how. So Brooklyn was like a microcosm of society, and so with all this Muslim bashing and the terrorists and people hating us, and I says, wait a minute, you know, I said, I got to do something, because not all, you know, like whatever they're mad at us about, I got to show them that no, there's people like us that we give a crap. You know, we want to know what your beef is. You know, we want to help you, you know, solve this problem, so we don't have to kill each other. I mean, that was my whole attitude. And you know, but. I'm sorry if I keep rambling on.
No, that's okay.
But it's like, but it changed my perspective of reality. We're talking about reality, mind.
And you know, when I was there in New York, I remember clearly that instead of people being sad or depressed or in the dumps, they made an extra effort to be on the upswing of their personalities. I remember that clearly, because you have something like that happen in the backyard of where you live. You're devastated. But it was remarkable to see how uplifting those people were, the people that came into New York. Because, you know, we're coming into New York thinking that we're going to be sad, depressed because of what took place. But the people in New York City actually made it to the point where we felt so welcome to be there. And they were such people that were on, they were like, they were there to rebuild, actually. And they wanted to, they were...
9/11, you know, like humanity suffered for 9/11. So when people did come to New York, because I can relate with exactly with what you're saying. When I would hear, you know, people coming to New York, I'd meet somebody, I came from, you know, wherever, and I came to help, because I was still living in Brooklyn before, you know, and so, you know, I was there regarding the cleanup and stuff like that. There were a lot of volunteers showing up, and from all over. I mean, I'm from the world.
Yeah.
And and they sometimes they, you know, because we had, you know, hotels in Brooklyn, because, you know, if Manhattan was all booked, you know, they'd come to Brooklyn, and then we'd meet them in restaurants and so on, and we'd be shaking hands and hugging each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about, man.
Yeah, it was extra.
You know,
it was actually extra hugs. You're right. Actually, it was interesting because we came from IBM in a bus, and we were welcomed by the police, because they were all the ones that were making sure that people that came in and who were bussed in from other parts of the country. We were in Connecticut. And when we bussed in, the police were there to obviously make sure that we went to the place we were supposed to go to. And the police, when we got off the bus, you know what they did? They actually hugged us. Can you believe that?
Good.
It was unbelievable.
Look, I thought I have firefighters, you know, as family. I got police as a family, military, and so on. You know, and blue collar, you know, construction guys. I mean, we were calling each other for weeks to make sure that we were okay.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And, you know, my sister didn't show up to work that day. Thank goodness. You know why she didn't show up to work that day? Because she didn't like the snobby freaking co-workers. She didn't like the snobby atmosphere. It was a law firm, you know, for banks. And they were all snooty and whatever. My sister's like, you know, we're humble, you know, kids, you know? And she didn't want to be around them, you know? And I said, that saved your life. The snooty a-hole saved your life. Yeah. You know, she didn't feel, because she had a temp job. And you know, and she's a teacher right now, and she's been teaching second graders for years. You know, so, but she could have perished that day. But anyway, you know, every single person that showed up to help, man, you guys were more than family.
Yeah.
More than family. You know, if you didn't have a place to stay, we would have taken you in, man.
I know, not to interject, but I know a few people who went there from my state to help, and their lives have been changed for what they saw and what they did.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Yeah.
it's sad.
It is very sad, but it's what's worse is that there are elements. I don't want to rain on nobody's parade. I didn't want my parade rained on, but 9/11 was not, as they say, it was not no Muslims. I'm sorry if I'm going to mess with any of your listeners, but it was not. And there's something called the cabal, and these guys own everything. And they have an agenda, and they're following a script, and the script is not in humanity's favor, and they're putting everything in place for that that new world order, and we are. What was that?
Definitely, I agree with you.
It's the truth. This is the thing about the truth, man. It's right in front of every single one of us. Sometimes we don't want to see it because it scares us, just like the little boogeyman in my freaking dream. No, you take that little boogeyman, you beat the living crap out of it, you show them who's boss. That's us. That is every single one of us. And we can tap into that, that superhuman, that we truly are, that they have been suppressing from us since we were kids. And we can change this world, but we gotta be brave enough. You gotta be tough enough. And the first person you need to be tough with is yourself. And the first person we tend to lie to is ourselves. And then everything we put out there is tainted. And we need to cut that crap out because our kids are going to pay the price. I got 4 kids. I love them 100%. That's why I stepped up 100%. But I don't love them 90%, 50%, 100%. I want to make a better world for them before I freaking go here. But I can't do this by myself. I didn't step up for me. I stepped up for us. I stepped up for them, and I'm one father. I represent every single damn father on this planet that love their kids, and that will do anything. Will do anything it takes to.
Well,
it's like I said. It's like I was the oldest. I had a responsibility to be a leader for my siblings, but then it became I was a leader for my cousins too. Then I was a leader, an example for my neighborhood, my friends, and it just kept going. But it was my father. My father, he planted that seed in my head. You got to be an example for them. So I've been an example all my life, and I got no ego here. We don't have no time for ego. Society, they make us all egocentrics. It's all about me, me, me. It's really about us. And if we understand that, and we start working together and get to know each other, because the key word is know, knowledge is power, we can change this freaking world. But that's why, like Dave, I would love to speak with you again, but you're a good man. I could tell by just the first few minutes that I was on the air, so whatever listeners you got, Dave is a good man. I've been around the block. I know people. I've worked with thousands of them in business, sales, and as an advocate. Anyways, I hope I'm not rambling. And what's your name again? What's your name? Elisa?
Azariana.
Azariana.
Azariana. What is it? That's a really beautiful name. But it's very nice being on the air with you. You sound, you sound like one of a fellow mutants, a beautiful person. And let's get to know each other better. We got to get to, people like us once we know each other, we should be friends for life. Mutants are not born every day. We're born amongst millions. For whatever reason, we could see things that the rest of the population can't see. But we were born this way for a reason. Yeah. Mutants have always stepped up throughout history, and those are the ones that we admire. Those are the people that we quote, every day. But this is our generation, so we are the mutants. So we should get to know each other better. And absolutely, 100%.
Please, whenever your relatives visit you, think of it as a gift and enjoy the time that you have with them.
Absolutely. I don't take nothing for granted. Look, I walk my neighbor's dogs. I just walked. I want nothing in return. I just, she it gets dark over here, so she gets a little scared. So I walk the dog store. I help people move. I don't want nothing in return. I just want to show this is what human beings are supposed to be like, for one another. And it rubs off on them, and so on. But this regarding mind, I've been on top of this mind thing since I was a kid. So when you mentioned this mind, whatever, Dave, I was like, I got to listen to this guy's show. I got to see what this guy's about, And so far, I was very impressed. I mean, number one, you are very sincere. You seem very responsible, generous, kind. That's a big deal. There's not too many people like you. So, I want to get to know you better, Dave. So, Dave, are you still there?
yeah, I'm still here. Like I said, I try to give, especially a first-time caller, I want to give you free speech and talk all you want. So, no problem at all. But, Claudio, I will say goodbye to you tonight.
Okay, buddy. And sorry if I hogged up any of your time. I really didn't mean it.
No, that's okay. But I appreciate.
Nice talking to you. Nice meeting you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, we got to see each other on Facebook. My name is Claudio Marti.
Okay.
And Dave, I want to hook up with you. And how do you pronounce your name again?
Oh, Dave Darren.
Yeah. She has such an unusual name. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Where is it from? Where is it from, that name?
Well, that's a combination of past lives that I've had. So. Oh,
boy. Okay. Yeah. Oh, good. There's more of you. Well, that's good to know. Well, we got to become Facebook friends. And I hope you don't mind. I'm a good boy, I swear. Okay, Dave, thank you for your time. And thank you, and I'm sorry, listeners. I hope I didn't, I didn't, put rain on your parade like I said before.
No, and thanks again for letting me in the group, which was the Coast to Coast with George Norrie. Thanks for that, and do you mind me sharing the show on that group periodically when I do the show? I do it every Thursday.
No, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that show. Go ahead, show it. We're going to share it from there. Forget about it.
Okay.
We got this with us.
There we go. Forget about it. Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Claudio, and thanks, Ariziana, and I'll let you guys both go. Thanks very much for both calling in, getting to know each other, getting to know me, and we'll become friends with Claudio on Facebook. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And in real life. All
Absolutely.
right?
Take care.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, so that's the end of tonight's show. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to play my little commercial. Remember I said I'm trying to do these fun commercials, vintage commercials, and we have a little shout-out from our good friend Omar. So I'm going to play the commercial, and I'm going to come back, and I want to say goodnight to you guys. But let me play this. I've got this bumper music, and we got a piece of music, too, as well in this. And I'll play this, and I'll come back, and I'll say goodnight to you guys. So be with you in a second.
Well, good evening, y'all. It's your outside broadcast reporter for the Dave Darren video show, interview show, Omar Razvi, and I've got my friend over here now, whose name is Lorenz Galopin. Now, Lorenz, would you please explain to all the viewers and listeners of the show who you are exactly? Because I've tracked you down, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. I am Lorenz Galopin. I am your heckler. Penis.
Ja, dat moet zijn. Nee, brother, Russian Bear.
Russian Bear is incredible. Who could bodybuild with love? Not me.
Free bodybuilding program from Val Vasiliev with purchase.
Now playing Fox Theater, Market Street above 16th. Check newspapers for listings.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Who has ever seen that commercial for Russian Bear? I tell you, when I lived in Philadelphia, we had something called UFOs. Evidently, I just didn't see any. But we also had something called UHF, and we had 17, 29, and 48. People don't know what those are anymore because now we all got cable and satellite. But when I was in Philadelphia, we had channel 3, 6, 10, and 12, 17, 29, and 48. And that was one of the commercials. The Russian Bear commercial was running on, I think it was channel 17 or whatever, one of them. And it was a bodybuilding formula. And I remember when I started working out I started working out when I was about 18 or 19. I kind of started late because I was still always athletic, but I started working out later. And I remember I used to buy supplements to try to build up some strength, build up some weight. And there was a guy in Philadelphia who did Philadelphia radio, and his name was Dr. Jim Corey, and he used to advertise these supplements, and I used to take them. And they didn't do anything that I know of. Now, maybe I don't think you really need a stamina building when you're a teenager and in your young 20s, but I took them anyway. And there was I think his name's Val Balachev, and he has a Russian accent in that commercial. But if you see some of his interviews, he doesn't have an accent at all. You can tell that was a worse accent than Chekhov from Star Trek, right? So there's a commercial, and thanks to Omar, our UK reporter on the spot, who goes around talking to people about the Dave Darren Show. He's a really cool guy. And he calls into the show periodically. Of course, he's in the UK, so it's offset by a bunch of hours. I think it's like 2 o'clock in the morning that this show airs. But he gives us his time when he doesn't work the next day, and he comes on the show and talks to us. So thanks to him. Thanks for Claudio for calling up today, and Azariana for calling up. You guys don't feel shy when you get a chance to pick up the phone and call the show and talk about whatever topic we talk about. Please make sure you call in and talk to us and get to know each other. We got to know Claudio tonight. We know Ariziana from calling up and talking to us periodically. We got to know Sparky, who called the last show. We get John, who calls up periodically. John's going to be a guest coming up in the future. And we got some stuff coming up. I'll tell you what programs we're going to be doing. I'm going to do a show, I think, like the day before Christmas Eve. So that's going to be the 23rd. And I'm going to do, I'm probably not going to come on and talk a whole lot. I'm just, in Arizona, we have this Alice Cooper's from Arizona. Or at least he lives here now. I don't know where he's from originally. But he does this thing called Proof is in the Pudding or something like that. And he has all these bands that play, they take a Christmas song, either they write a brand new Christmas song, or they put their own spin on a Christmas song. And then they get on stage and play for Alice, and then one of them, or two of them, I forget how many it was, gets to open up for Alice in Phoenix, Arizona. So I get all these Christmas songs from all the participants in this competition, and they send me the songs. So now they send me the music without video. So it's going to take me a little while to mix some fun Christmas video to them. But I think that's what I'm going to do on the 23rd for you guys. So I'll come on the 23rd, day before Christmas Eve, and I give you some brand new takes on Christmas songs, because we're all hearing all the same White Christmas. We all hear the same songs all the time, but we seldom get to hear independent artists doing versions of Christmas songs or brand new Christmas songs. So we're going to hear that on the 23rd, and Corwin's going to come on. Corwin Fabian, we all know him from the Dave Darren Show, is one of you guys that visits and listens to the show and talks to each other. He's going to be on the 26th, which is day after Christmas. We got Bernadette coming on January 9th. And we've got, let me click the switch here, and we got John coming on January 16th. And we got another guy, Gian Michael Sabato. He's a doctor. He's going to come on, and he's going to talk to us about his experiences in the paranormal and witchcraft, by the way. He's going to come on almost the last day of the month in January 30th. So you got a lot of stuff going on, guys. So hopefully you share the show, share each other's friendship. That's what we did tonight with having Claudio come on. And I share the show to all the groups I belong to. So if you get a chance to do that, share the show to the groups you belong to, because you probably belong to different groups than I do. And that little extra help will help me to get the show out to you guys so that we can all become friends and enjoy topics. That's all I got for tonight. You know what? I'm going to end the show with the final. I had one more thing from Omar, the man in the street in the UK, and then I'm going to do the closing music to the bumpers, because I do these little bumper musics now, like 15 seconds of their music, actually a minute of their music. But we don't get to hear all of their music. So if you happen to like the music that is in the bumpers, after the next bumper plays, I'm going to do music from The first band you saw the little clip to is called Christ versus Warhol. And the second guy is a guy, Matt Seberg, and he does a song called Hypocrisy. So we're going to play those two songs, the bumper music first with Omar and a funny commercial again. And then I'm going to click to the music and I'm going to say goodnight to you guys right now. Again, thanks for you guys for calling in and being part of the show and each other's lives. That's all I got for tonight. Thanks, guys, and here we go at the end of the show. Cheers.
And now we take a break from our show for a word from our sponsor.
Starting from right now, from the moment that you started this freaking video.
The creamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy.
It's the Dave Darren Show.
Hey, buddy, try it on. Cool air feels good. Everyone's gonna want to hang out with me. Woohoo! Yeah!
Hang my hopes on a lasso. On a homemade lasso.
This is for the Dave Darren Show, and I'd like to say I've got some nurses here, and we're all going to say one thing right now. Dave Darren, we love you. Going out to the Dave Darren listeners and everyone involved with the show, including myself. What do we say? Do we love Dave or do we? Well, hey, from some National Health Service workers here that have put their time in. Dave, we love you.
Stolen and shaken from a lovely dream, rudely awakened by the alarm clock scream, encased like corporate cattle we lurch and jerk, aboard putrid public transport to our place of work. I refuse to admit defeat. I'm the nemesis of mediocrity. I don't want to be another well-dressed slave in this hypocrisy. Another well-dressed slave in this hypocrisy.
This place at the edge of the world, where everything is ancient, and in between the mortar and the pigeon waste, little dreams flourish and then flounder, and I want to fade.
There's 100 million pigeonholes in this city. Beaches packed to the rafters with misery. Everybody lives to work, or so it seems. But I cannot subscribe to this conspiracy, 'cause I refuse to admit defeat. I'm the nemesis of mediocrity. I don't want to be another well-dressed slave in this hypocrisy. Another well-dressed slave in this hypocrisy. Stolen and shaken from a lovely dream, rudely awakened by the alarm clock scream. Encased by corporate cattle, we lurch and jerk aboard putrid public transport to our place of work. I refuse to admit defeat. I'm the nemesis of mediocrity. I don't want to be another well-dressed slave in this hypocrisy. Another well-dressed slave in this hypocrisy. No, 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 no. No, I will not submit to the powers that be. I spin and wheel 1,000 miles above a wasteland of concrete and steel. No, I know how the cage birds sing. Better a free pauper than an emperor.